Can you hear the people singing the songs of angry wives? Sorry, I'm recording a video and my wife is trying to sleep on the couch behind me, so I'm gonna try and be quiet. But I've played 2, maybe 3 matches of War Thunder today. I can't remember what day it was when I got was it 11 or 12 kills in a match? I can't remember if it was this morning or if it was last night, because the baby Zoe has taken to waking up at 5 a.m. and just staying up and looking for adventure. She gets really disappointed and angry if I try to leave her in the crib and get some sleep myself. So my brain is kind of mushy right now. But you will not be seeing that 11 or 12 kills, I can't remember if I got an air kill, game, because I'm putting that as background footage for an interview that I should be publishing fairly soon. So instead, enjoy. I have some Super Hellcat shenanigans for you. We saw that Italian Sherman, I think, and now he fired and his round just disappeared. So that would have assuredly ended our killing streak short of our goal in this match, but we're gonna have ourselves a good time. You see, we captured the capture zone and we stuck around there for a little while listening, and then decided to push up as the rest of our forces advanced behind us. And this sort of, I like to call it War Thunder chess. You deal with your immediate area and you go to a position that you know is likely to be a good spot for you. In the M18, including the Super Hellcat, now that was a cheeky shot. I suspected there was a PT set. Well, I suspected there was a tank there, and it turned out to be a PT-76. But back to War Thunder chess. M18, in its ordinary or super forms with the 90mm cannon, is a reasonably mobile vehicle. You stand pretty good odds of getting to a cap zone first, so I like to go for mid-cap just to play aggressively and have a pretty good chance of scoring some spawn points. And that's definitely a Tiger we hear screeching its way toward us, and yet so many aircraft buzzing overhead you can't even hear yourself think. And listening for vehicles played a huge part in this match. But getting back to positioning, hello there, Tiger. I told you. We heard him, we knew where he was going to be, and we are bopping from one position to another, just trying to stay out of sight of the enemy, put ourselves in a place they don't necessarily expect us to be, and after getting 1 or 2 kills, we reposition. Now, because our team is supporting us well here on our rear and flanks, we're pushing forward, but sometimes that's not such a good idea. So you gotta play it by feel, and the more you try positioning yourself in clever ways, the more you'll get a feel for when that's a good idea, and maybe you should have just stayed put for a while. But the basic rule is I'm going from one cover to another. The main goal is to keep the enemy. Hello, pizza van, can we catch you? No? Where'd he go? Did he run into that tree? Okay, so it should be... Oh, hello, T-34, and it's our turn to have a round disappear as our 90mm just ghosts its way into that fuel tank. That is... You know, there was actually a bug fix reported that said they fixed the bug with... it was one of the Soviet tanks, I think it was T-34, eating up rounds. I wouldn't call that bug fixed, would you? Anyway, we're still doing just fine. We hear a vehicle, turns out to be a Nashorn. We put one into his frontal casemate, and there is a separation between the gunnery compartment and the rest. We absorb another shot that seemed to do absolutely nothing to us. It seemed to come from our front, so we're trying to push forward to where they'll have to come around the corner of that house to engage us. And now we have a few options. We have to think fast. We could try to take on that person who shot us head on, or we could try for another angle. And indeed we go for another angle, aimed a bit too low to get the turret on KV2, and at that angle we are not going to be able to punch through his hull armor. I decided to continue to focus on the KV, but I actually lost sight of him. That's rare. How do you lose an entire KV2? It looked like he was moving out in the open. Things that make you think. Anyway, despite that poor show at the end there, dying like an idiot, I was having an absolute blast in this fast-paced match that you've been able to catch most of. I just skipped out on some of the early positioning there. And here I am in my reward for the Magach event. That's right. I unlocked the Magach, and I decided to cash out, sell it early, and get myself a hold of this extremely rare event vehicle from off of the marketplace. And I gotta say, I probably play this thing about as much as I would play the Magach, which is to say, not that much. But with its improved engines over the standard model, this special boy F7F is a lot of fun to fly, especially when you decide to play around. My goodness, that wyvern is loud as the skies fill up around us. It's fun to play around with the biggest rockets in game that I'm aware of, the Tiny Tim anti-ship rockets. We can hear two enemy aircraft, one of them definitely coming straight for us, the other a beautiful target for a nice boom and zoom attack, but we decide to go for the head-on. ME410 looks to be, and I've lost sight of the other enemy aircraft. It looks like in the kill feed, did he crash? I'm not quite sure. I don't think he did. So that second aircraft just kind of disappeared on us. It's always disconcerting to lose track of a bogey. So, speaking of, where'd that ME410 go? I can't hear him, I can't see him, but I think I see a dot moving over the battlefield. So I'll head back in that direction and hope for the best. We hear a propeller. Here comes the enemy in a head-on. We're doing a bit of a skid, as I've talked about in other videos. Aim at the enemy and pull just a bit to the side. And sometimes that means they encounter your rounds before you encounter theirs. And the F7F is king of the head-on with fantastic frontal durability and, what is it, 420 mils in the wing roots and 650 cals in the nose, if I'm not mistaken. It could be 4 and 4. In either event, very strong. Here we are, back in the Super Hellcat, and it is one of my favorite vehicles in the game of War Thunder. It's been a while since I showed you some of my own gameplay, so it's nice to get back into the game. And like I mentioned, I played 2 or 3 matches today, and you'll be able to see all of them. And that is about how crazy my life has become lately. I'm just, even without leaving my house, I'm ridiculously busy. And I'm a tired man. But you know what? It pays off. It pays off in huge ways. And I am so happy. I have a 2.5-year-old girl and about an 11-month-old peeking at sleeping wife who would know these things off the top of her head. Baby girl, and she the baby is growing like crazy. She's growing like a puppy. You know, you get like a little puppy dog that's like super cute, but it's got huge feet, and you're like, that's gonna be a big dog. And then they eat like crazy, and they sleep most of the time, and then they wake up and just like try and get a full day's worth of exploring done in about 20 minutes before they fall asleep again. And that's pretty much how baby Zoe operates. She's growing like crazy. She doubled her birth weight in like a few months, and she's catching up to Big Sis in heft, but a whole lot less like bone and muscle that Big Sis has. She's super lean, and a whole lot more of the chonk. She's such a cutie. She's got these thick thighs, and she's all soft and squishy and full of drool. It's so great. She's got teeth coming in too, and they are razor sharp. And all of that is to say, I am a busy dad here at home when I don't find time to make YouTube videos out of what you guys are sending in. I've been absolutely loving the replay series. Like I mentioned, I got an interview coming as well. I remember talking to my grandpa about, I gotta go do an interview. and he got all excited. His eyes lit up because, you know, he thinks that since I'm a stay-at-home dad, we must be starving, because nobody would pay a woman a fair wage. Okay, boomer. but for reals, I love my grandpa. He's an oddball though, and he got all excited that I had an interview coming up, but I was like, no, it's for my YouTube channel, it's not for a job. And he was just like, ugh. Such a great guy. He taught me some of how to do cement work, and there we are with a concrete hit on that Tiger 2P that we won't be able to finish ourselves. That'll be somebody else's. Ooh, that's gonna hurt us. Anyway, I loved working with my grandpa. He's been in construction for ages, but he had his hand in a dozen little businesses in the town that I grew up in, and he's just one of those guys that's worked for his whole life and always had all kinds of cool opportunities to meet people and do cool stuff. And you know what? I've sort of walked a different path with my life. Man, half of my adult life I haven't had a job, but now I have the full-time job of raising my girls and doing what I can to keep the house from falling apart until my wife gets home. And she works her hiney out. Well, I mean, she doesn't literally work her butt off. She still has a nice booty, but she works super hard, and she's always tired. And now that the baby's waking me up so early, I'm starting to relate a little bit. But it also means that I'm a huge wuss, and every time she comes home, I'm like, oh, I'm so sleepy. And then like half the time I'll just disappear into the bedroom, and she's like, you left. I'll fall asleep in like 20 seconds if I pull the blankets over myself. It's awesome. And then she gets stuck with looking after the girls and putting the toddler down. So I really don't want to do that all the time. But speaking of something that you don't do all the time, how about that inverted head-on kill on whatever the heck that was? ME410. That was pretty fun. Should we get another one? Try to get the lead on the ANM2s. And I'm still in 50 cal mode. I think I was under leading there. But we do manage to saw off the wing of the Donier as he goes on down. So that's always helpful. I think we got an enemy kill assist out of that. Oh, no, never mind. Aircraft destroyed. I stand corrected. What an odd series of events dropping Nope, no bombs up to that point. We couldn't quite see what was going on down there, so we held off on the ordnance, which is kind of funny because here in the video editor that I'm using to provide this commentary as I rewatch this match that was so much fun for me and launched some long-range rockets, near miss on the whirlwind surely would have gotten us a kill if we touched the skin, and yet no luck. We do get a critical hit on, I think, that panther that should have been a fairly powerful hit, but no little damage preview as it was still rendering what was going on with the whirlwind. And now that I've yammered on to that point, I completely forgot what I was talking about before. We did have enough SP to jump into one of my favorite fighters in the game, and I decided to go full meme mode, setting the convergence to no and the ammunition to tracer belts. This is a lot of fun, and apologies, I think there's a little bit of a skipping around in the video there. That happens sometimes with Shadowplay, especially. It seems like every time there's an update to NVIDIA, or every time there's an update to War Thunder or Windows, it always breaks Shadowplay. So Shadowplay was a little bit broken for me today, and it wasn't recording some of my kills, which is one of the things that I really enjoy about Shadowplay. I can make these little kill compilations fairly easily, and that's another one of the things that I do usually on a Sunday after church. I'll come home and relax, and it's really relaxing for me to make a kill compilation, so I'll just make something really simple. I like to, not really do anything fantastic or fancy. I just like to show what I've been up to for the week, so it's nice to have a bunch of kills already recorded by Shadowplay. Anyway, that breaks every time there's a patch. In any event, one thing that has remained reliable is the usefulness of the P47 in general, and the golden P47 is certainly no exception, with among the best ability to produce speed at most altitudes, and all the things that you've come to love about the P47s, or you should have come to love. They are fantastic multi-role aircraft, and even when you don't have the ability to carry ordnance, you still have 8 50 cals, a ludicrous amount of ammunition. It sounds like we're being pursued by a RC car. No, it's just the sound system working as intended, I suppose. We tick off a whirlwind and pull a little bit of low altitude maneuvers to break line of sight from that SPAA. You never know if you're going to get someone that does or does not know how to warble their wind, and I tell you, a talented and experienced whirlwind player is a force to be reckoned with, both from the skies and from the ground in War Thunder, so I am taking no chances. I really love the Italy map for CAS. It has some great features that you don't often see in a map. You have those big rocky ridges that are broken into cliffs and crags, passes, and impasses that make flying an aircraft so exciting, especially when you're playing low altitude games or desperately dodging a foe that's on your tail. Yes, people do slam into those cliff faces every now and then, saving your bacon. And it's also a battlefield for tanks that has these ridges and cliffs around the outside. That's right, the Italy map, ribbed for CAS pleasure. As we dive down on, what is that but another Nashorn, the universal punching bag of mixed battle forces, open top, plenty of room for American bias to enter from the skies. And we have these skies to ourselves at this point. Plenty of time to line up an attack as we listen. Sounds like an enemy aircraft overhead pitching up, and we make eye contact, and as soon as our eyes met, I knew this Focke-Wulf would be my bride. So the Focke-Wulf dives low and then rises high. Because I was slightly above the bottom of that dive, I'm going to retain a little bit more energy here in the stall. He goes for the stall, pulls some maneuvers, but as long as you hold down the fire button and do your best, you do have an advantage over a Focke-Wulf in that scenario, and that was a beautiful kill. One thing I really have to give it to Gaijin for, and I know we all love to give it to Gaijin every now and then, is they've really improved the engine fire and fuel tank fire effects for vehicles. It's been a long time coming, and it is beautiful in our sight. I would love to see more work on the particle effects and other such special effects in War Thunder. They have been blocky and generic for years. I think a lot of these on-hit effects have come from previous games that Gaijin developed before War Thunder, like Wings of Prey, so it's nice to see an update. And yet, at the same time, some things are just classic. Take, for example, the voiceover sounds. There was a time when Gaijin tried introducing a good number of new voiceover sounds. You could hear, who's the guy who does the War Thunder live streams? You could hear Sean. You could hear Sean in some of them. He probably still has a good number of lines in the game, but some of those ended up getting taken out. Boy, we don't want to get taken out. That is a magical space potato, a J2 of some variety, and the last thing you want to do against a J2 is turn in a P-47. If he can catch us, he can keep us. We can't out-climb him. Our only option here is to outspeed him, as they don't have the best speed in a straight line, and it looks like he has just about the same energy state as me. But again, I gotta watch my climb here. I nosed up to be sure to clear the rock face there, and now I'm really in a tricky situation. What I need to do is make separation, and I might not have time to do that. I would love to turn and fight this guy, but I know for sure he would turn inside me and blow me away in short order, so I need to make some separation. I would say at least a click and a half, and there might be about 0.6, 0.8 kilometers between us right now. Trying to bleed him of a little energy by trying to bait him into a climb. And also, my engine is overheating, so I pop it off for a second there. I feel like I would want to close to a little bit closer before opening up, and he is holding his fire. And on top of that, the match is about to end. So this is a bit of a stalemate. Wasn't trying to play, passively here. Wasn't trying to preserve my life needlessly. I was trying to get separation so I could take this guy down. But you know what? Sometimes you can't always get what you want. Looking at the wingtip smoke, there's another thing that could we have. You can really tell that it's just a series of individual puffs, especially at close range. So maybe if they could put the smoke mechanics that they already have for ground-to-air missiles, those look great. Maybe something like that for the wingtip smoke, if you please. Anyway, guys, it's been really great to just be able to hang out with you for a while and show you some of my own gameplay. And I always enjoy my 6.3 USA Golden lineup. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.